It's going to say, "Elu, elu, 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 elu."
Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode number 557 of the Dead Robot Society. I'm jet-lagged Paul E. Cooley, and joining me today is utterly exhausted Terry Mixon. How you doing, brain dead Terry?
I'm about to fall asleep.
You're just about to fall asleep? Yeah, I've been trying not to. The only reason I'm not asleep now is because you've been talking and won't stop talking. We've been recording.
You know, my voice is not that jarring. You should have went to sleep.
It was more along the lines of the words that were coming out of your mouth that were, causing the brain circuitry to fry.
All of those things. Every single one of them at the same time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I heard foomf a lot because I was on flight 755. So it was foomf over and over again, something like that. Anyway, how you doing, man? Besides exhausted.
Good. It's been a good month for me. I've managed to hit my daily writing quota, which is low every day this month. So that's a good thing. Haven't missed a day where I've hit my mark. Some days have been better than others, but I think I've actually written about 30,000 new words this month. Jeez. So I can live with that.
Yeah, I think you're on a good track. I think you're right.
The novel, I think I'm at 45,000 words in Ruined Terra, and I've luckily 15,000 words back. I said, yeah, I'm not going to get to the Imperial Palace. I've got to have something intermediary here that they're headed towards because there's no way, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I've been having fun introducing new elements that I can play with, things that they're totally unfamiliar with, like riding horses.
Do they even know what horses are?
Yes, because Avalon was a vacation world. There are plenty of horses there. The problem is that most people never actually learn to ride.
Okay, fair enough. I think it'd been funnier if they didn't even know what they were.
Yeah, that would be awkward. The hell is this?
And then somebody accidentally ends up on top of it riding it. That would be hilarious. I would love to see that. So that's all you got going?
No. This episode coming out tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for us, when we're recording it. The midnight, the day this show comes out, I have a novel. Liberty Station is going to be in a adventure science fiction story book that Kevin J. Anderson has put together.
Awesome.
So I've got that going on too.
Awesome.
I'll be sharing the link around on that. There, it looks like there's a lot of good stories that's going to be in that bundle.
I'll do my best to get that in the show notes, assuming I get a link to it from you.
I should get the link today.
All right. Well, if you get it.
If not, I'll get the link tomorrow and I'll send it to you.
All right. Fair enough. So what the hell have I been doing?
Sleeping?
No.
Sleeping?
I flew to Germany a week ago and had a whirlwind of meetings and good stuff happened. And I just got back.
So this is for the translation of The Black into a German movie, right?
No.
It should be.
No.
It totally should be.
You wish. I wish. No, this has to do with the robot project I've been working on for 9 months or 8 months. 8 months. So we've got some stuff to do, but we've got another milestone to reach by the end of October. So I am going to be very, 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 very busy on code and hardware and all sorts of other crap over the next month and a half, 2 months. And I've got more software work than I can shake a stick at the moment. So I'm going to be a little busy doing that. But while I was in Germany, I got about 3,500 words of something very, very difficult that I've been afraid to write. And it's kind of kept me from making progress on Trident. And I got it figured out. I got it started. And I still need to finish the conversation and everything that I'm doing with it. But the fact that I was able to tackle it while I was gone should tell you just how exhausted I was because I just didn't care. It's pretty sad. So I'm getting over jet lag. Hopefully tomorrow will be the magic day where I can sleep through the night and not wake up at like 3 a.m. and be ready to go to work. So that's where things are. But good trip. East Berlin shocked the shit out of me because the last time I saw it was 88 before it fell. So it looked, the whole city looked nothing like I remember. Absolutely nothing like I remember.
From the lack of bruises on your face, you avoided being beaten by the Polizei.
Polizei had bigger problems to worry about than some fat old 48-year-old walking around the streets of their city. It's just not having the wall there. You know, Checkpoint Charlie has been reduced to little more than the size of a food truck stand or a food cart stand with you know, actors wearing U.S. military uniforms. That's it. That's all there's left. Yeah, that and the, you know, museums are all around there, and the remaining piece of the wall that they've got inside this big sarcophagus thing. It's just, it's a part of history I lived in. It was a part of history I lived through, but going back there and seeing it the way it is now and trying to match it up in my head with how I remember it was just shocking as shit. It was one of those, holy crap, time has moved on so far. It would be like if I'd visited New York City and seen the Twin Towers in person, because I never did, and then going back to New York after they're gone. I'm sure it would be the same kind of feeling, but it probably have more emotional attachment. But still, it kind of summed up the whole Cold War for me. Nothing is recognizable. And it was just one of those moments I was like, I really should write a story about this. But it was a cool moment. It was an eerie moment. It was I felt like something kind of been ripped away and replaced with something else. And I'm not sure if that memory is ever going to be the same now. But it is what it is.
The past is never the same as what the future is, but it's weird how a lot of themes repeat themselves.
Sure. It was more along the lines of getting slapped in the face and told this is how much things have moved on. And it was a point where I think when you're in the middle of it and it's moving, it's less jarring than if you look at something that you have no context for exactly what it looked like along the way. You don't see it as gradually, you see it as these quick spikes. And that's what I think was unsettling. But all that set aside, Terry is falling asleep on the other side of the mic. So,
yes, I am. I'm snoring right now.
So
if you can't tell, folks.
Hopefully, this episode finally will be the last of the shit quality episodes because I have fuck off,
I
Terry.
love your optimism.
Fuck off. I have the new Mac Mini, and I think we got everything sorted. I hope we got everything sorted. So
yeah, that's because the folks can't see what you went through in the pre-show to make it happen.
That's how hard I work to do this show. That's what you people get from me.
Slaving over a hot keyboard to make this work.
Yeah, and patrons, thanks to you, I was able to afford to buy the software today I needed to buy. Thank you. All right, so that with all that, I think we better get into this episode. I have no memories of this episode. That's probably a good thing, but we're going to see what we got. Well, I listened to Eon 14, the first book in that series. So I read the first book, Outsystem. At least Audible told me that was the first book ever. I don't know if it was full of shit or not.
It is the first book that I read. Okay. So I say yes, it is. It's some prequel stuff has now been written that takes place before it, but I think you've started in the right place.
It's interesting how I'm probably going to cut this, but maybe not. We'll see where it goes. It's not a criticism. It's the style of writing. I didn't think we got enough time to breathe.
It was fairly fast paced.
I mean, it is. That was the thing that struck me is I felt like I didn't have enough time with the characters. Things were just moving way too fast. I mean, you barely get to know these people, and suddenly they're in a firefight. It's just like, what the fuck? I don't even know where the fuck we are, what's going on, and suddenly it's just like he drops you in, or she drops you in. And it kind of caught me, and it took me about an hour to get used to the pacing was just so, it was just Gatling gun.
You listened to the audio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Christine Vam is an excellent narrator.
Yeah, she did. I thought at first it was Veronica. And then I realized, no, it's not Veronica, but there are some things they do that are very, very similar. But yeah, the audiobook is very, very well performed. Very, very
The
well.
fact that I can actually remember her name speaks to how well I enjoyed listening to her narrate.
Yeah.
Because, I know like 3 narrators by name, 4 narrators by name,
And two of
and
them,
that's about it.
and two of them you talk to on like one of them you talk to on a weekly basis, and the other one,
It's true. Maybe we can go up to half a dozen. I could probably name, if pressed, half a dozen narrators that I've listened to a number of books by them and could actually remember their name.
right? So, what was your? Is the entire series like that? Is it that rapid fire?
I have listened to 4.5 books in the series
Okay.
because I got sidetracked into Lit RPG about a year and a half ago, and that's taken over my listening time.
Let's take it over your
And
life.
except for, I think, the last couple where they changed narrators, I believe that rapid fire pace is there. It gets better as you go along. It's not quite so intense
So
the second
frantic?
time around, so frantic the second book.
The second book.
So I don't think that it is.
Okay, the first book seemed like it was just dying to get to the end. It was just so, man.
So manic.
I mean, I kept reading it. I mean, I kept listening to it, but it was just like I had to listen to it in sittings. It was just like, God, I need a breath here. So my question, I guess, to you is the genre that way?
It can be. I'm not going to say that it is. Certainly, not every book that falls into. I that book is a mixture of military science fiction and space opera.
Mm-hmm.
So that's similar to what I write as well, at least as far as the scope of it. And when I look at other books that are in the same vein, not all of them are as rapid pace as that. Some of them are. I don't think that it's mandatory that it be that way. I think it's an authorial choice.
Okay.
And to be fair, I think I'm not sure, but I think that, like Empire of Bones, that may have been the first professionally done work that she put out.
Right.
So there's a learning curve
Yes.
that comes along as you go through this sort of thing.
And that's what I thought too, is basically it's like, okay, this is a first book. It feels like a first book. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that it feels like a first book. And I'm definitely going to get the second one because Mallory is a cliffhanger and bastard just like I am. So
Second book's no better, buddy.
I'm
Suck
sure
it up.
it's not. But I really like the conversations about AI. I hope that I know there has to be so much more talked about in there about how all that works because they have their own justice system, so to speak. There's something called corruption, which hasn't really been explained. And there's a lot of different things there that I find very interesting.
I haven't read them yet, but I've seen earlier books out in the series, prequel type novel series that deal with the AIs.
Okay.
So I haven't actually read them. I don't know anything about them at this point. I'm going to say if you're going to go for more books, I believe that there is a ebook bundle and there may be an audio bundle as well, rather than buying each one individually. Look at that and see if you can get the audio bundle, because that'll include 4 books.
Okay.
Including the first one.
I just got my monthly thing, so I just...
You make it sound dirty when you say it that way.
Only you, old man. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. It's fun to look at how somebody else sees or deals with the same topic of your interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it always gives you ideas on the types of things you can do within your constraints that you've set up. Or maybe the kinds of things you don't want to deal with, or explain why you don't deal with them, or why they're verboten, stuff like that.
one of the traps of that sort of thing is thinking that everybody else's idea of what the genre is the same as yours.
Correct.
And then the author can potentially violate the strictures of the genre you thought they were writing in and turn you off completely. Whereas the author may be going, I wasn't writing what you thought it was at all. You're just wrong. Sorry.
There are some things that go on in there, and I'm sure military science fiction purists were like, ugh, no problem.
The one I'm thinking of in particular is, it's taken me a long time to get over it, was the Share series by Nathan Lowell. I listened to all 6 books in the Share series, and I had it pegged as Heinlein Young Adult. In the end of the last book, book 6, it violated majorly one of the strictures of that type of book and completely infuriated me and turned me off on the series. I haven't read a single book by him since, because as a reader, I can't trust what I'm going to read. And it's nothing against Nathan. He wrote the story that he wanted to write, and he says, nope, it wasn't that kind of Heinlein book at all. You just misinterpreted what was there. You didn't read it the same way that I wrote it.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, but I think that was the intent. And there's nothing wrong with it. Nathan is a fine author, and if that's your thing, read the series. Just beware, don't fall into the trap of thinking that it's a Heinlein style young adult.
I don't really think about genres when I pick somebody to read. I don't really think about whether or not it has to adhere to scriptures, about what that genre is.
Well, the problem is that after 6 books of listening to this, I was in the comfortable groove where I had a pretty good idea of where the ending was going to be. And in the last 3 or 4 chapters, it was all undone. Things happened that I never saw coming, that I never believed possible for that kind of story. And that's on me as a reader. But I'm not alone in that, because a fairly vocal minority of the readers of that were also outraged. So some people loved it, some people hated it. He definitely got people's attention.
Well, Glenn Stewart mentioned that last week, or the week before, whenever that was, we recorded that interview, about his thoughts on The Expanse. That he felt like it violated the setting that it had put forward from the very beginning and the way they treated things. I can see that, but at the same time, I don't know. I didn't go in with any expectations, but the fact it said something along the lines of the stars are better off without us, I kind of figured it was going to have some alien stuff in it and was going to be pretty dark. But people, I guess some folks just didn't catch on to that.
That, weirdly, this mirrors a conversation I had on Facebook just last night, where as part of a conversation, I posted a piece of artwork from a cover image that is from the Warhammer 40,000K book series. And it's awesome because it could be like an older, darker Kelsey. And every time I see this piece of art, I get caught up in it, but I know that Warhammer 40K is a dark series. They coined the phrase grim dark.
Okay.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is not a series that I would actually like. And somebody commented on the thread that no, it's not really like that at all. It's got monsters and it's got dark elements, but it's not terrible, awful like they would lead you to believe. Don't fall into that trap. So I'm not sure if I've fallen for their marketing or if somebody else is just reading it differently than I am. But the same has also happened with you. I was poisoned by your initial tagline, "We don't believe in happy endings." Mm-hmm. So I've pretty much read nothing of yours for simply that reason, because I believe wholeheartedly in happy endings. And I didn't want to subject myself to, a grimdark ending.
I don't have grimdark endings.
Then I suggest you change that tagline.
I haven't used that tagline since I started writing Derelict.
Let's, maybe it's just the fact that I came across in the time frame where that's what it was. And you looked like a serial killer the first time I met you.
Still do, according to some people. No, I changed the tagline to some mysteries shouldn't be solved. I set that up for I think with Derelict. I may have changed that back when the Black was first done. It hasn't been we don't believe in happy endings for a long time.
Nothing. I've obviously got to read some more of your stuff.
We also have different definitions of what a happy ending is.
How can you have a different idea of what a happy ending is?
Very simple.
Other than a massage parlor, I'm pretty sure a happy ending is a fairly staple sort of thing.
No, it's not. If the characters live, okay, but are
that's your low bar for happy ending?
It's my low bar
I may have taken their limbs, but they were still breathing.
That's
We're all
right,
happy
goddammit. See, that's right. I believe that the scars or whatever I put them through, if it's a thriller or monster book or whatever else, nobody's going to walk out unscathed. And
just a flesh wound.
That may mean some broken bones. That may mean a severed limb here or there. But the main characters, I don't kill them
much.
I can't guarantee any of the characters in Derelict will survive. Anyone in particular. I already sort of took out many people's favorite, but he's on ice, literally. He'll
be back.
I'm gonna get so much shit for what I'm gonna do. I don't care. Anyway, when evil plans come together. The fuck was I talking about? Look,
happy endings are different ideas about them.
If characters come out unscathed, then it is James Bond, and nothing happened.
Or Clive Cussler.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's typical action adventure, and I'm not putting down the genre. We had this talk a couple of weeks ago. It's just a different kind of book. My books are going to have some nasty things happen to characters, even those that are going to continue, and those scars are going to continue piling up. And eventually something really terrible is going to happen to them psychologically, or something else is going to happen to tear them out of their own little orbit and, basically make everything unstable. Because that's life. You just don't pick up after something awful and go on like nothing happened.
Well, my problem that I think I have with that is, as a series writer that utilizes the same characters, if I had those type of scars build up to that degree, by book 11, which I'm writing now, they would be psychological wrecks that could do nothing.
And that's,
with no arms, no legs, and other problems.
And that's why we have books like Dresden where still some awful things happen to people.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Maybe not quite as bad as I do, but I guess there's a limit to what you can do, and it depends on the kind of books you're writing. I don't know what the Tony Down series is going to look like when I get to it. I don't know how that's going to look or how that's going to work. He's already carrying around a lot of baggage, so I will be exposing that baggage as we go through those books. At least that's my plan for him. And then, of course, that kind of plan holds for all the other characters I've introduced into the Fiend's works, as well as a particular Garaga work. Well, 2 Garaga works, neither of which is published. As John B. Rowe would say, "Are you holding back on us, Cooley?" Yes, I am. Anyway, well, no, 3 that are unpublished. Holy shit.
Look how you're just holding back on your fans.
That's like 20,000. Well, the patrons have heard one of them. I think one of them, maybe 2 of them. I can't remember. Anyway, regardless. Those characters I want to come back with, I want to go revisit them. And not everybody. There's a lot of people bugging me to write a sequel to Closet Treats to basically tie up everything. Because everybody's like, what happened to Trey? What happened to the kid? What happened to Tony? What happened to Reggie? Where the fuck is Reggie? So And I want to deal with that too, but that may also be the kickoff for the Tony Downs series. So it's something I want to do. But those characters, I have put them where they are in a holding pattern until I come back to them. Some of them are pretty
Unlike
bad
me,
shape.
who various series, I've just abandoned them completely until I can come back to them and justify it financially.
Yeah. And I haven't been able to justify writing any of this shit financially because it just nobody's buying it. That's probably marketing on my fault, or my fault on marketing. But
that was an inadvertent truth right there.
My fault at marketing.
Yes, my fault at marketing.
My fault at marketing. Yeah, that's pretty much describes it. So yeah, that's one of those things that I've got to figure out. But I still want to write those books that are not science fiction, that are more suspense horror, or suspense thriller, or suspense urban fantasy.
You know what I want to write?
I want to write lit RPG.
Well, I would love to write lit RPG.
You just won't get off your lazy ass and do it.
I've got enough on my plate already that I can't justify adding one more to the list. I would like to write the next post-apocalyptic novel, but that novel sold so poorly that I can't justify it right now. And that's my fault too. That's my marketing fault right there, because it's a terrible cover. I have no talent when it comes to post-apocalyptic covers. They're totally different than the regular science fiction with spaceship butt.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys have a really good template for that. For doing those books. Yeah, post-apocalyptic would be very, very different.
And it's one that I didn't bother learning. I think that book's been out almost 3 years now. And it's only earned like $5,000 over the life of the book.
I wish Gears Inferno had earned that much money. I think it's more on the lines of like $800 maybe.
Well, damn it.
Yeah. So
maybe you should have actually kept the Richard Gere cover.
So fuck you. So basically, Pondy and I had a talk, and we're going to rebrand it as Flames. I'll take it down. I'll terminate the Audible contract, which I can do. I looked into it. So I just have to write them and say, hey, we're taking this book away. It's going to be rebranded and everything else. Take it down, and then I need to spend some time looking at covers with trying to look in similar veins for how the lettering is and all that kind of bullshit. And we're going to try and resurrect that book just because I think it's worth it. There's enough people who've read it. It's got really high reviews from, the 25 people that read it or bought it or whatever. And I don't think most people even knew I was podcasting it. That's really pathetic on my part.
I completely, totally did not know your mom had that many fake accounts.
No shit. Anyway, I think once we get that rebranded, then we'll see where it's going to go. But that is definitely on the plate. But right now, I'm writing a book for me. God damn it! I'm writing a book for me. I don't know how the fuck we're going to market
ducks pay.
No. As I said on Tim Niederreiter's podcast last night, thank you for inviting me, Tim. I'm writing this one for me because I'm a big fan of Dead Space, and I want to do something kind of in that vein. So,
while it's not Dead Space, did you hear that Amazon is doing a show based on Event Horizon?
Yeah, I saw that last night. I didn't look at any of the details because I think they're fucking crazy.
Ooh, there's a strong opinion.
Oh, well, I don't know I don't know how you would build up doing this unless the only way I could see it working is if maybe the chief engineer, played by Peter, or Neil, what's his name? Sam Neill, thank you. Is it Sam Neill?
He wasn't the engineer, he was the inventor.
The inventor. Well, he's still the engineer.
Well, he's an engineer, but not the engineer.
Oh,
that's
yeah. Okay, fine, whatever. His drive, he designed it. If you go back to, I don't know, seeing weird things happen when they're constructing it, maybe it's already given telltale signs because there's some things in the movie that made me think maybe something happened before all this. If we started going, God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm building up in my head how we do this. But you would have those kind of flashbacks incorporated with the SNR crew what they do and everything else. Yeah, I could see you making 5 or 6 episodes, especially if you made the hell part much more crazy. Um,
I'm
I could see
watching the
that.
show that has Katie Sackhoff in it.
Another life.
I've only watched 3 episodes of it so far because I got sidetracked in other things. But if I remember right, it's a 10 episode run. And their initial mission sounds like it's going to be straightforward, right until they run headfirst into the first roadblock. And that first roadblock is what's going to stretch this all out with other problems that they're having along the way out to 10 episodes. Because they ran into trouble. And that's what they'd have to do with Event Horizon as well.
Yeah.
They'd have to go ahead and run headlong into something that threw them completely off kilter and takes them stumbling through other trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be just based on the movie. They're going to expand on elements. And they're going to throw in things that weren't in the movie too.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself though, what would those be? And I'm not exactly the be all end all on that movie, but I'm just having a difficult time seeing how they're going to play with the source material to drag it out. What kind of complications they could interject. I guess that's
weirdly enough, I've actually seen the movie, which usually that's not my sort of thing. But
awesome
then again,
movie.
I also watched Alien in the theaters. So there you go.
I didn't. I wish I had.
I went to watch the spaceships. They were pretty cool.
Thank you, H.R. Geeker. Rest in peace. You creepy dude. I don't know. I've never met him. I don't know if he's creepy or not. See, I just
once again, I think
the movie. What can you come up with?
These movies may violate their own genres in a way because they're not solely horror. They're not solely whatever it is. They've got elements from other genres, and it's kind of a mashup.
Yeah.
And really everything that we're dragging back to your original subject, I think that everything that we write is a mashup of some kind because you're introducing elements from other types of stories to make yours be unique.
Spec fic is spec fic. I mean, it's there isn't any one particular genre or thing. You always find yourself stealing from something else.
I'm not sure I completely agree with that. There are some people that make bank on writing the type of books that fit solidly inside the mystery or thriller genres.
Even if you write something that's really got that kind of tilt to it, you can still have romantic elements.
Absolutely.
In a mystery or thriller. Well, you're borrowing some of the stuff that romance does.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But still, if you look at a Michael Connelly novel, it's going to fit within that genre. And the genre that he writes in, which is, I guess, legal thrillers. I guess that's what he writes. And am I thinking of the right guy here?
You're thinking of the wrong guy. Michael Connelly is Bosch.
Okay, I'm thinking of the wrong guy. But the Cadillac lawyer or whatever it was, I can't remember
John
who it
Grisham.
is. Really? Is that Grisham? Okay, it's not like I read those particular novels. I was just trying to pick somebody at random and pick the wrong one.
Well, Grisham's good enough. Same deal.
You've got all of the key marks that he has to hit for a legal thriller to make it work. And you can certainly take sub-elements. Some genres are primary genres. Some genres, you can have elements from them in something else. You can have bits of mystery. You can have bits of romance. You can have bits of thriller. Science fiction, you can have that too. I guess maybe you can have elements from every genre in whatever you're going to write.
That was my point.
But they will be minor things as opposed to the major thing. It's the major elements of genre that are going to define what genre your book fits into on the shelf.
Okay, so that's a question. With mysteries, I would say what really makes a mystery is the plot.
I don't know if I'd agree with that. I'd say what makes a mystery is keeping the information away from the reader.
Okay.
In a way, it's kind of sort of suspense because you've got murdering going on and you're hiding who that is and you're putting the person in danger. So even in a cozy mystery, there is a level of suspense.
True.
Built into it.
True.
But that also is the plot points you have to hit for that book to be a mystery.
I will tentatively agree with that, although I don't see plot in that way.
Oh, God, here we go. We're talking about two different things and probably the same thing in a different way.
We probably are.
But a thriller, it's the same kind of thing. It's got to have certain plot points to it.
A thriller, as opposed to a mystery, has a ticking clock.
Yes. Again.
That's the big difference between a thriller and a mystery.
And then we can get into an argument about what the ticking clock is.
It could be a lot of things.
It could be a lot of things. It could be the mad person is going to blow up the world, or it could be, hey, I'm trying to survive because this monster is going to eat me.
I just picked up yesterday the first two books of a I'm going to call it, man against nature type of survival thriller by somebody that apparently writes survival thrillers. I had no idea that was a thing. But the fact that they were based off of the explosion of the Yellowstone caldera got me interested. And they were 99 cents each. So I said, sure, I'll snag those up. Maybe I'll read them in about 3 years.
So are they technically, would you call them survival thriller?
Yeah, that's what I would call it. Because it's a thriller because the clock is ticking. And in this case, it's man against nature.
Right.
And they're going to survive this because the explosion of the super volcano at Yellowstone has the potential to be a species-ending event.
Okay, yeah.
It's certainly going to totally screw up the United States if that happens.
If that were to happen, I'm pretty sure the entire world would be fucked up.
And you are absolutely right. If depending on how bad the eruption is, it could exterminate human life completely.
World would be better off without us.
We won't be around to complain about it. But even if it's a lesser eruption, when it finally goes off, it's going to, 1,000 miles downwind, it's going to drop feet of ash on people. The United States as a whole is going to be covered in ash that will not wash away. It will kill crops. It will poison water. The United States would be a wasteland. It's worse than any post-apocalyptic thing that you can think of. Nuclear war, easy peasy, compared to the supervolcano going off.
Oh, it depends on how much dust goes out from that. Was it nuclear winter expected to last 5 or 6 years, depending on how many nukes go off?
Depending, but if you look at how many cubic miles of material that the supervolcano could throw up, because I read another book that was dealing with the Yellowstone supervolcano, I actually have some data on this. I think it's like, if it's more than 250 cubic miles of material, that's what's called a supervolcano eruption. And there have been a few in the past that have
Krakatoa
thrown out some more like that. There was Krakatoa and there was one other. Krakatoa was not a supervolcano.
No, it's the way it absolutely fucking exploded. It was heard all the way in Washington.
It was
State.
heard around the world, but there was one that went off 700-800 years ago that was at the low end of the scale, and it caused people on the other end of the globe to have a condition that they called the year without a summer. It snowed, and it did not stop snowing until 18 months later. And that was on the low end of the supervolcano spectrum. If you get one that's the higher end, like 750 cubic miles, it's going to put so much stuff up in the atmosphere that it will be decades of nuclear winter and worse. Humanity will die. Everything will die.
Good riddance to them. Good riddance to humans. Just a virus.
It's a scary thing. It's a good thing that, the supervolcano is not going to go off, because that's the reason I want to read this book, is because how bad can it get? I want to read how bad it can get.
This goes back to the seed bank. That's in
Mhm.
where is it at? It's
Greenland?
Switzerland? I
Is
don't
it
remember.
Greenland or Iceland? They've got a couple of spots around that they have them.
Yeah. Regardless, I mean, think the whole idea would be to raid the seed bank and then take everything underground to build up hydroponics, assuming you had energy. So, yeah, I can see some preppers, so to speak, doing that around the world. I can definitely see that happening.
I remember telling you that there was a new book out by the person that wrote the Bobiverse, Dennis E. Taylor.
Yeah.
It's called Outland.
Right.
And it involves exploring alternate realities, but also involves the eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano, which is where I got this bit of information from that I'm already going on.
Gotcha.
My advice to you is if you haven't listened to it, you should. It's an awesome book.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Completely different than the Bobiverse. It's narrated by the same person, though, so it's kind of spooky. I think it's what Nick Podell. I can't remember who the narrator is, but there's another narrator that I remember, Nick Podell.
It's a you can't. No matter what he tries to do, it is not going to be. No matter what he writes from now on, people need to understand it will never be the Bobiverse again. That was a very unique story.
He wrote the first book in another science fiction series that I've also listened to that I don't remember the name of it right now, but it involved nanomachines and aliens. So maybe that's more up your line.
Interesting.
It was also a good book. Cursed you, Terry, for giving me more books to listen to.
No, I just continue to be afraid that somebody's going to do what I'm doing.
If you sit still long enough, they will. And you know what? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't really matter. It'll be a Cooley book. His will be, a Taylor book. So there you go.
It's all in the character voice. Your voice is never going to be like his voice. Don't worry about your voice. Don't worry about somebody else writing the same thing that you do.
I'm not.
Even if they got the same, you got a little piece of paper that had a plot idea on it. Even if they got the same one, the story and the characters would be totally different.
True. Very true.
Be true to yourself, and you will never have to worry about being too close to someone else.
Like I said before, I mentioned this when I was working on the first Derelict book. I was listening to The Expanse because I hadn't heard it. Was listening to the first book, and about halfway through, I nearly had a traffic wreck because I was listening to the book and they were setting something up that was exactly the same thing I was going to do, and I was freaking out. And then, like 2 minutes later, I went, they didn't do it. They did something else completely. But I was like, oh my god, this is
Have you ever
horrible.
Suspected that they have your house bugged?
No.
So when you come up with a great idea,
No.
it's on television.
No, they wrote that shit a long time before I thought about it.
There's been half a dozen times where I went, "You thieves! You've stolen my work!" But it's actually just the way it works.
Yeah, pretty much. You get the idea for something and you kind of chase it, and yeah, it's going to be yours. I mean, look at it today. Even if I tried to rip off Alien all the way through, it would still be different because I would find something and go, oh, no, that's not the way that happened. In my world, it happened this way because that's the way the imagination works. So are you enjoying Another Life?
I've enjoyed it so far. I'll find time to get back to it now. Right now, I'm busy watching. I have limited TV time, so it's Ink Master right now.
What the hell is that?
It's a tattooing competition.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And by God, those people are vicious.
What do you mean?
I've watched this series for 5, 7, 8 years, a long time. And the competitors in this, real assholes.
I think at any level like that, there are, yeah.
This is not a criticism of them, but my wife also watches RuPaul's Drag Race, so I watch that when it's on. They compete for the same dollar amount, But I look at what the drag queens do in competition with each other, and they're a lot more snarky with each other than the tattooists, by the way. But the level of shit that goes on is way heavier in Ink Master. You got to work for that $100,000, bitch. Holy shit.
Work. That's just awful. I got nothing. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, so
I just don't have enough time to watch everything that I want to write or that I want to watch because I want to write and I want to, pay the bills and so forth.
there's a Freudian.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can't watch everything I want to write.
Yeah, I think I should totally write a mystery involving RuPaul's Drag Race.
Or something similar.
There's all kinds of things I'd like to do, but not enough time, and that goes for watching television.
I was mowing the lawn yesterday, and for some reason in my skull, this idea of detective investigating
Detective Pikachu!
a detective investigating the death of an artificial person.
Sort of sounds like what you're already doing.
Yeah, kind of, but it was a weird deal. I think after emergence happens, I'm going to have to touch on some of those things. So,
have you ever read the 3 books in the Arenaverse by Reich Spoor?
nope.
Let's just say that is pure space opera, written in the Doc Smith mode of space opera, and it involves godlike aliens and all kinds of things going on. And I totally lost track of where I was going with this. It had something to do with whatever you said. It's got AIs in there that had to be exterminated, but they didn't all get exterminated. Now there's a war going on.
Exterminate.
Yeah, except that their AIs are a lot scarier.
Yeah, I want to deal with that. I mean, that was one of the most interesting ideas of BSG was the fact that they had to abandon all that high tech. Because they had created all this stuff, and then suddenly the only way that they could protect themselves from the monster they created was to go ultra low tech for their time period anyway. Not having anything sentient, not having really, the computers were just calculators. That's all they were. And even their communications was all hardwired in. They wouldn't have any networked machine support. I mean, just having to dump all of the stuff that presumably brought them into their own, so they could be a spacefaring races. What kind of shock would that be?
That would be tough.
I mean, to everything you've got, everything you've built up, if suddenly that has to happen.
In Reich Spor's universe, the civilization that exists in the solar system is spread out all across the solar system. It's post-singularity. AIs are part of everything. People have them implanted in their heads. You don't have to work unless you're doing what you want to, because there's really no material needs that can't be met cheaply at that point. And the inventor in this story invents the faster than light drive. And for the test mission, he sent out a couple of test jumps of this machine. None of them have ever come back. Mm-hmm. So he's pretty sure that he's got it right, but he wants to, instead of taking an AI controlled ship, he wants to take a human controlled ship to make sure and take the AIs out of the loop in case there's something about jumping FTL that scrambles them and they're unable to return. And so they do that. And what happens the moment they go super light is they appear inside a huge metal ball the size of the solar system, or actually I think it's 20,000 kilometers across. And the human pilot is the one that manages to stop them before they run into the side of it. Their AIs are dead. Their power system is offline. All of their high technology is gone. And they have no way to take the ship back because they've got no way to energize the drive.
Whoops.
So they've got to explore and live inside the constraints of this universe where every solar system is inside of a sphere. And only if you can ever go FTL do you know about it. And a godlike AI controls everything and all of the races that are there at that particular time. Some have appeared and disappeared again. People go extinct, that kind of thing. It's that grand of a story where they have to struggle with the fact that they can't use all of that incredibly high-tech stuff that they've developed because there are limits imposed upon them by the universe and the AI.
Interesting.
Good shit, Maynard.
Yeah, you take all that stuff away and it gets, well, even today, if the internet went offline tomorrow, our communications would be strangled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would just be the biggest blackout in history of any sort. So, yeah, even just that makes for a good apocalypse story, because people would freak. It would be really crazy to watch that shit.
Something that I picked up from the Dennis Taylor book that I hadn't realized before, it's never sunk in, is that once something brings humanity to its knees, we're never getting back up. Not to the heights that we are now. If we get knocked back out of the current technological age, humanity will have an almost impossible task trying to recreate high technology because all of the easily accessible resources have been taken.
Correct.
All the easy accessible oil, gone. If you have to start technology over, you're not getting to the stuff that's under the ground way down. You're going to have to start without it.
Yep. Which would mean that if they were going to survive, they would have to find alternative ways to provide what was provided before.
Yeah.
And if you have no rare minerals,
you're looking at Civil War technology with some exceptions.
I would go back to 20s, maybe teens.
They had radio. Well, I suppose that's possibly still true.
Yeah, radio will still
work. There are aspects. They wouldn't making gasoline, gone. No more gasoline. Sorry. Thanks for playing.
Yep, pretty much. All the fuels that are easily done would be, I mean, you'd be down to alcohol essentially. And that's only if you had enough biomass to make it. So
climbing back out of the hole of a thing like a super volcano eruption would leave humanity unable to reach space again. Almost certainly.
I don't know that I believe
our
that.
Quest to leave this planet would end.
I think it's more along the lines of, I'm more optimistic than you are. I think that there is enough technology lying around, because it is so promiscuous at this point, that as long as it wasn't some kind of EMP or magnetic pole reversal, I think that they would get things running again. I don't think it would end up being recognizable, because if you're smart, you're immediately going to start building stuff underground, because you can put filters over the tops of it. You can do all this other stuff. It's going to remain warm or cold. It'll remain the same temperature essentially, but it's easier to manage. If you're up top, you have to worry about the storms that are going to come in. You have to worry about the weather being violent. And worst comes to worst, you raise a dome to raise the crops to get the little bit of sunlight that comes in. Everybody spends some dome time in there tending it just to basically be able to survive. That's going to lead to a different kind of society. It's going to lead to different kind of technological innovations, because the requirements of what they have to do have changed radically. People will find a way. We will find a way if there's any of us left.
I could sort of agree with that, but it's going to be a lot harder to make those breakthroughs.
Oh yeah, it may take us 800 years to dig out, but we'll dig out. We're rats. We're cockroaches. We're exactly as bad as they are. We will find a way.
As far as a pole reversal, how sure are we that's not under effect right now?
We aren't.
Because that sucker's moving around pretty good.
Yeah, but you know what, the other part of it is we didn't really have a way to measure until relatively recently, to a fine detail, relatively recently. So I wonder how much data we really have about how solar flares affect this, or gravitational pulls in different directions. I don't know. I would like to look at the data, the historical data, and see if there's really a pattern there, or if it's just we have no idea what the hell's going on.
It seems to be over the last 2 decades that it has accelerated its movement, the poles.
Which makes me think something is moving around underneath us that's
Really?
pretty serious.
Hold on, dude.
Like
there could be a mantle down there.
Like all the magma moving to one side of the planet, which is not going to work out well for anybody.
Earth core, here we come.
It's much worse than Earth core. Be much worse. Yeah, I'm going to detonate 100 nukes underneath the ground. I'm sure everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
It would be so slight nobody would even notice.
Yeah. So, someplace gets a 9.7, and we're over here in the flatlands of Galveston, and they get a 3.0 off of it. Yeah, shit's going to be fucked up for a while.
Not even sure how much a 3.0 you'd even feel.
I think in a flat place like Galveston, I think you'd feel it quite a bit. Not like rumble. You'd know what happened. You'd know what happened. I don't know.
You might have felt it. You might have felt it, but I'm not sure
it.
I'm not sure that a 3 is actually strong enough to really cause any damage.
I think it knocks some windows off the walls, maybe. That's better.
Okay. Some
But
paintings
still,
maybe fall down.
The fact that Galveston, of all places, would feel that kind of shockwave from the other side of the world is just be a big hole. Would you love to see that shit go off from space? How terrifying would that be to look at?
There's been some volcanoes that they've shown pictures of them erupting from space, and that's kind of scary shit.
It's just like you see part of the Earth just turn black.
Yeah, I can't imagine what a bunch of nukes going off would look like. That wouldn't be so pretty.
No, that's when Paul goes, well, time to go into the black, see what's there. Nothing? Oh, good, I'll die here. All right. So let's wrap this up. If you have anything to add to this rambling conversation of crazy, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find our videos at youtube.com/DRS podcast if you want to see our ugly mugs. You can support us at patreon.com/DRS podcast if you want to, keep the show going, do things like pay for Mac Minis that are broken and need to be replaced, and help us handle. I cannot talk today. You know what the problem is? All my notes that I look at for this bullshit are sitting on my Mac, and I can't access it.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like an excuse. Let's not have any excuses. Just make it happen.
If you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive content of Terry and I being complete jackasses. And we have to thank our wonderful host, Podhoster, who makes all 14,000 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. And at the $10 level, if you're a patron at $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Andrew Smallwood, J.D. Barker, Aaron Meeser, Jesse Elefino Orcutt, Veronica Gers, who still won't pants apparently, Kelson Deal. You guys confuse me so often. Isabel Cushy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Nathan Cosby, Cheryl Winters, Tracy Bodine, Devin Lee, Drew Angry Fiesta, Rodan Bernardi. I can't even parse that.
I'm not sure exactly what an angry fiesta is.
I don't know. Curse Winder, Andre Conde Moraes, and Did I really just mispronounce his name? J.R. Handley.
Letters are hard.
I'm having a hell of a day. Thank you, folks, for your support, and thank you to all of our patrons for making things possible, like Paul being able to afford a new Mac Mini and pay it off in a couple months. And with that, we are out of here. Terry, depending on my travel plans, we'll see you next week.
If you're out of the country, good on you. Have fun. If not, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, patrons. Later.
Bye-bye, everybody.